Do you know the song Team by Lord? I've played it a few times around the office. We live in cities you'll never
Everyone knows
see
this song,
on
right?
screen. Okay,
I don't know
now
it's called Team, but
it's called Team. There's a part in it. She says, "I'm getting kind of tired of throwing my hands up in the air." Fine.
Yeah.
The next two words after that, she goes, "So there." And she does that a few times. She just makes a random statement. And she goes, "So there." It just bothers me.
But I think she's just filling in the blanks.
Do you need to? That's some James Brown stuff, like
So
where you're like, "Oh, there's a gap." You know?
Yeah, I bet it was like a record label was like, nah, too much quiet noise, too much music.
Put words, and she's like, "So there." Oh man,
I think they struggle with too many instrumentals, like songs.
You reckon? What?
Yeah, they like words.
Is that a thing? You get paid by the word, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for popular songs, they need words.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just enjoy the music.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you saw Snoop Dogg wants $250,000 for a verse.
Really?
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
From who?
Huh?
From any brand?
To do a feature.
Oh, like take a picture with your Kodak. Go to Times Square with your Kodak. Do you know about that?
Yeah, but you think that's Snoop Dogg?
No, that was Pitbull, right?
Pitbull, yeah.
Yeah, but
he
got paid.
Yeah.
And he just did nothing. Like, he couldn't even rhyme Kodak.
So was that sponsored by Kodak?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who else would talk about a Kodak in 2010 or whatever it was?
I don't know. I thought I thought he just thought, what rhymes with Kodak?
Kodak. Go to Times Square, take a picture with a Kodak. Who even says that? It's not even a lie.
Yeah.
Like, unless we're in
I thought that was weird.
1985.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got paid, but he just...
He was just like, I'm just going to say it twice right now.
And then Kodak died as a brand, so yeah.
I think they bought Polaroid and they're fine.
But they're not Apple. They used to be the Apple.
Yeah, they're not Kodak, which I don't think people appreciate the value of the name like Kodak. Do you know another one? And this is very relevant because the episode we just released was with Hassan Kubba.
Yeah.
Just Eat, his business partner, used to be I think a marketing director for Just Eat. I don't think people truly appreciate how well Just Eat did in their IPO.
Right.
Like, do you have any notion of how well it did?
No.
Billions.
Uh-huh.
Let me just Eat IPO.
See, in my world, I don't hear about Just Eat. Like, no one goes, "Oh, I'm going to order from Just Eat."
No.
They say Deliveroo.
Yeah. In 2014, something about it being, I don't know how IPOs work, I'm not going to lie to you. But Just Eat IPO values it at 2.4 billion.
So it went public at 2.4 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that not wild?
That's wild.
Considering, again...
How much did they raise?
Huh?
How much did they raise in their time? Because the thing that you care about is not what it was valued at, 2.4 billion, but what was the last seed round before when it was private?
Yeah.
What was it valued at? $1 billion? $2 billion?
Oh, you mean like in...
So okay, basically you start a company and then you have multiple rounds
of funding,
that value the company at a certain amount. So say you sell it 10% at 100 million, then that means you valued your company at $1 billion.
Right, okay.
But no one knows the true value
until
you go public.
Right.
And then that's just like your live, what is the company worth? 20, yeah.
Good question. So, post-IPO equity round. So what's that? What's a post-IPO equity round?
I assume where they sell more to raise some more funds for the company.
Maybe.
So the company retains stock and then they sell more of it.
Okay. So, well, I mean, it seems like they raised 100 million, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad. From what I can gather, 4 funding rounds, total amount is 104.9 million. Which also, can we just appreciate that 0.9?
Yeah.
I didn't even say it just now. But that 0.9 is not like 90p. It's money. Is it 90,000?
I mean, these days people are talking in the trillions. Maths. Billions, nothing. A bill. What's a bill?
Know. Yeah.
It can be.
You know, in I don't know quite how to translate this, but in Iraq, how they deal with their currency, they call it a deftar, a booklet.
Really?
Yeah. Like how much is that? It's 2 booklets. Like 2 booklets of cash.
Because the cash became...
Oh, inflation is wild. Yeah, over there.
It's going to happen here, though.
I know.
We're going to have booklets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild curveball. Because we were talking about this. You were talking about, like, strike one at school.
Yeah.
Were you a good kid at school? Do you get the good? Well, I'm sure you got the good grades. You're very smart, but did you?
No, I was a waste man.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just opened up like loads of sensitive information, and that camera's pointing around. Sorry. Yeah, we're good.
Edit that out.
Yeah.
Was I a good kid at school? Yeah. I think I was reasonable.
Yeah.
I had my times when I got kicked out of the lessons.
Yeah.
I definitely had my times where year 8, year 9, where I just had a very bad attention span and just looking to like mess around. But yeah, I figured stuff out.
You ever skive lessons?
No, not lessons.
Okay. You ever get into fights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small fights.
All right.
Yeah. But at school, I was like, for a few years, I was average height, and then I became quite small relative to everyone else. I wouldn't get into any fights.
Okay.
And then I finally grew at uni.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah, I know. Last year of school, I finally like had a bit of a growth spurt. But yeah, for a couple of years, it was quite tough. Yeah.
Damn, dude. If we just had a moment where you were like, man, 2016 Ash would have totally let that slide, which is very interesting for me to sort of see. I've known you since 2018. Did we meet?
Yeah.
So, wow, dude, 5 years now.
2018 was only 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know. You said something towards the middle of the pandemic that blew my mind. Like towards the end of the pandemic, if not. He was like, dude, I was 24 coming into this. You know what I mean?
On?
Yeah.
Young.
That was a harrowing thought because we're around the same age.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks,
we're pretty much the same age.
You're going to be no. As of next month.
I love how you do that because anyone who's older than me, I do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, I will stop referring to you as Ash, and I will start referring to you as a grandpa.
Yeah.
From the months of April till August.
That's so fun. We had a friend at uni who was a year older than us, just simply took a gap year.
Yeah.
But she was the grandma of the group.
Yeah.
Like we met, and it's been years since we left uni, and we still just like rip into her about her age. We're just like, mate, you're coming on now. Pension's coming through. Like it's quite rude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, God, yeah. You got to do it though. That's how you show your friends that you love them.
This is it.
You got anything else like that?
Were you a good kid?
Me, good kid. Yeah, I'd say so. I tried not to get in trouble all too often because as a kid, that's the worst thing that can happen to you, right? You're in trouble. You don't like as an adult. If you get in trouble, you're like,
yeah, right.
All right, calm down.
Prison or is that?
Yeah. Someone's shouting at you as an adult. You're just like, I'm just gonna wait for you to finish here. This is outrageous. What's happening now?
Yeah.
But as a kid, you're like, my whole world is collapsing. But I had a few different instances where I was like in deep trouble. I had an instance. This is something that I hate about this world. It rewards minimal effort if you haven't been putting in any effort. But if you've been putting in consistent effort for a while, you get nothing. So I intentionally got into trouble because there were these kids at my primary school. I went to not a particularly good primary school. Most of them came out to kind of sell drugs.
Yeah.
I know,
like pharmacists or
no. Those are the other ones.
Yeah.
No, I funnily enough, I was on what in Manchester they call like the Met. Like we don't have multiple tubes. There's just one overground train that goes through Manchester. Loads of different lines, but it's just the Metrolink.
Yeah.
And I was on it, and like 4 police officers came in to the train, arrested this guy, and as he was coming out, I was like, I fucking know you. You're from my primary school. There was just rumors that he was like selling coke. Oh. And I'm on the Facebook group for Manchester, for my local community. Yeah. Where my family's from. And some kid got arrested on the Met for smoking heroin in a high-vis jacket. Okay. Now, if you check the comments, it's the best thing ever. Yeah. One's like, don't smoke heroin on the Metrolink. The other one was like, don't wear high-vis when you're smoking heroin. It was just a post full of stuff. In primary school. So I didn't go to a good primary school. And what I noticed was a lot of kids that were misbehaving, fighting, just being generally a bit of a nuisance to the class. Whenever they showed the slight bit, like they'd get put on these performance improvement plans. Right. And you just take you have a slip with the week and you take it to your teacher and they stamp it with a happy face or an unhappy face. If you get all 5 as happy face, you get a bag of Maltesers. All right. So I intentionally just started, being a bit of a troublesome kid. Yeah. And it was the easiest. Even the teacher, Mrs. Jackson, she was in charge of all of this. She was like a support person for the whole school. She wasn't just like a teacher. She was, she would like look after the school and do loads of stuff for us. And yeah, I took it to her at the end of the week, and I was like, look, and she goes, yeah, it's all smiley faces. I'm surprised. And I was like, yeah, where's my Maltesers? Yeah. I did this all for the Maltesers. I wanted to get rewarded because I was just a good kid.
Yeah.
And a good kid doesn't need rewarding to keep being a good kid.
Where's my Maltesers?
I don't care. You know I'm a good kid. I had good results. I never caused any trouble. You know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Pay up. Pay the piper. I'm here for my Maltesers. So yeah, generally I was a good kid.
Okay.
I got in a few fights for stupid reasons. Like in the last episode we mentioned, we used to get free school meals. And just general like male manly advice that I've been given in life is if anyone swings at you, you swing back.
Yeah.
That's
right.
just knuckle scraping gorilla advice. But it kind of works because if a bully sees you swinging, they don't bully you anymore.
Yeah, sure.
And I genuinely attribute that. I don't think I was bullied all that much. And I think it's because like I was walking through I don't know why this has turned into me talking about my high school and primary school years. I was walking through a primary school, and I still remember this. I remember his name. I remember what he looks like. I was just walking to class, and you know the annoying kids who would just stand on the side of the corridor even though it was rammed, just smacks me on the back of my head as I walked past. Just remember happy slaps?
Yeah.
Just thwack on the back of my head in front of all my friends. That's what I cared about. This thing will go.
Yeah. It was.
The ego is gone. Like you're nothing to your friends anymore. You just got slapped. So I just turned around and I threw a punch at his face.
Oh.
It didn't like land properly.
Yeah.
And all high school's fights, if you're in high school, don't take this as like life advice. But if you're in high school, all fights last 10 seconds before somene's in a headlock and the teacher separates it.
Yeah.
That's like, is that true? Like,
Yeah, definitely, exactly, yeah.
2 swings, headlock, teacher comes and separates it. So I didn't actually manage to hurt him in any way. But he never messed with me. Like he messed with me. What is this?
Yeah,
Gang
but he
talk?
didn't. He never.
He didn't do anything
crossed
to
you.
me ever again. So that was just kind of a mentality I had in school. As an adult, by the way, that is the worst advice you can give somebody.
Okay.
Like if somebody is like trying to start a fight with you, I cannot encourage you more to walk away from that fight. There is, as an adult, ego means nothing.
I think it's the world we live in. Yeah. Like exactly what you did there of taking the swing. Obviously, everyone says self-defense and all of that. That was self-defense, right? Kind of.
Yeah, defending the ego.
Yeah, exactly. Defending the ego.
Yeah.
In theory, that is perfect. Like that is the way you should act. But there are a lot of crazy people out there. Like someone is ready to bring out a knife. Someone's ready to bring out a gun, and you don't know what's going on. So unfortunately, I agree with you that's as an adult,
It's just, and I've heard so many stories. I worked at O2 in Ealing Broadway in London, and this gentleman came in, and I was serving him. He had a battered old phone, and he came in and bought a really expensive phone. This must be a nice upgrade. And he goes, I usually don't care about such things. And I was like, how come you're getting this one then? And he goes, well, I thought I was going to prison, but I just found out I'm actually only getting house arrest. So I need something to keep me entertained and stuff. I was like, oh, damn, do you mind me asking what happened? And he basically said that these group of guys, and this is his version of the story. I don't really know what happened. This is just a customer interaction.
Sure.
He told me that these guys were harassing a girl. So he goes up to them, tells them to stop it, and they just start swinging at him. There's a large group. He gets scared, so he picks up a chair. He's at a pub. So he picks up a chair and just starts swinging it around, accidentally clocks someone in the head, and gets arrested for it. And it all goes south from there.
Yeah.
He's just, he works as a delivery driver. He was just out for a pint with his friends, and now he's on house arrest. And like he could have been facing, prison time. So like you could just be an average dude living your life, happy with how things are. You make a bad call, you take a swing at somebody. Anything after that, you're still liable for.
Yeah.
And you could still, and it's never worth it, So yeah, as an adult, I'm like, no. As a kid, nothing happens.
Yeah, sure.
Kids commit more crimes. Trust. Do you wish you committed more crimes when you were a kid? We're getting into some bad advice here, but do you wish you committed more? Not crimes.
What are you talking about? What do you mean by
do you wish
crimes?
you misbehaved more?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wish I realised that the consequences didn't get mean so much.
Yeah.
But then on the same token, it can go too far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where you can end up, you realise nothing has a consequence.
By the way, what I mean by that, let me just make it abundantly clear, is if you're a 8-year-old kid, nick a Mars bar every now and again. That's it. Or if you like bounty,
but pay it back in 10 years' time.
In 10 years' time, go take one bounty bar to the till and give the same guy two bounties worth. Yeah, pay it back.
Yeah, and my thing's like, if you get kicked out of class, I remember before I was like, oh, my life's over, everything's over, no one's going to look me in the eye, and I'm like, I wish I. Yeah. Feels funny.
I have a funny situation where neither of my parents, I mean, my mum does, but neither of them spoke particularly good English when I was at school. So I was able to intercept most things, just like, can I speak to Sam's dad? And I'm like, this is dad.
This is dad.
This is dad. But I was able to intercept like most letters and stuff. But my sister caught one, and I was in a lot of trouble. But yeah, no. I kidding aside, you should don't be a dick. Don't rob things. Don't steal things. But just know the consequences are a lot more dire as an adult than they are as a young person. Definitely don't, no matter what you do, hurt anybody.
Do you think like if you don't learn discipline when you're younger, it's really hard to enforce it when you're older?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
This
so
is true.
That's the thing that although.
But you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, but if you don't realize they're mistakes when you're younger.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the people around you. Like, I won't get into it, but the letter that I wasn't able to intercept was basically a report from my primary school teacher saying of something I had done. Now, as an adult, I can't do that. Yeah. As an adult, my career would be ruined, my life would be ruined. And I wouldn't have known that. But my sister read it, and she gave me such a hard time about it. She was like, do you understand the consequence? It was something I said. She was like, do you understand the consequences of saying something like that? Do you understand how some people feel when you say something like that?
Yeah.
And credit to my mum, it was the same thing. She was angry at me. She was furious. And as an adult, I can't believe I said those things.
Yeah.
Like, it was just an idiotic thing to do. But, excuse me. Had nobody told me, I'd have been like, well, I got a slap on the wrist, so clearly it's fine.
There we go. And then you just carry on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's completely right. Like, I think I remember I was watching a TV show with my parents, like, it was after school, and someone did something, I think it was so little, and I swore, but not even, like, proper swear word. It was like, like that. And
fiddlesticks.
Yeah, literally. And my parents just switched off the TV and just ranted at me.
Yeah.
First time I'd ever seen them do it to that extent. I was like, I didn't understand that. I felt really bad.
By the way,
and looking back, I think I was like, that's actually nothing. But had they not done that now, I swear now and then. But it does make me cautious of what I say. Yeah. And I think that's quite nice. Like, it was quite nice. Just because of their overreaction at the time, it, like, they're trying to teach an underlying lesson. And you're like, in that respect,
Yeah, that's all.
Episode?
Oh, 18 minutes in. Episode 58, I believe.
Episode 58, or episode
5. It's a weird one, because we've just shot a guest episode that doesn't fall into this category.
Sure.
So 58, it's hard.
I think we need to align. Episode 5.
Yeah.
Of the Feel Good
series. Feel Good Inc. series.
TM.
Patent pending.
Yeah. Coming soon. Registered trademark. Here we go.
Yeah.
Feel Good series.
Yeah.
Episode 5. Boom.
Yeah.
Do your thing here now, Ram.
Yeah, Ram.
If you don't.
Please verify the number.
And today, you had a topic you wanted to talk about.
I know, but it's quite hard. But should we just do it? It's funny.
We can talk about it and then just do our usual.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it already.
Usual rabbit hole.
Human rabbit hole? No, that's a wave.
That's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a wave.
Yeah.
Really scratching the bottom of the barrel here. But I wanted to talk about human connection.
Okay.
What does that mean to you? Do you have a really profound and powerful interaction with another human being that you remember to this day? Like, vividly.
Yeah, many a DMC. Many a deep, meaningful conversation.
Oh, is that...
Yeah.
Dude, really?
Do you not know what
DMC
is? What? It's quite a young thing to say. Like, you're not quite hip with the youngsters.
Careful, buddy. You're not going to be able to say that after April.
you're not quite hip with the youngsters.
Yeah. DMC,
deep meaningful conversations,
Yeah.
where you're like, could be anyone.
Yeah.
I had a conversation the other day. I dropped one of my friend's siblings off. Like, I've seen them a couple of times. Like, last time I saw them was actually when they were 17, and now they're 25. Yeah. So I saw them before they even knew what life was.
Yeah.
And it was a great chat. I was like in the car driving them for about an hour and a half, and we were just chatting about
You dropping them
everything.
off? Hour and a half?
Middle of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was on the way back from London. It was actually 2
Oh,
hours.
I see.
My friend was sleeping in the back, like fast asleep, so we could just talk about anything. And it was a dark road, and we went from like talking about people to life to career we covered so many different subjects, and that was like a real fresh perspective. And it's nice. It doesn't have to be someone you spend your life with all the time. No. It's just, wow, that's what we're here for. We're here for that connection and that ability to communicate. And yeah, it was just a really nice conversation. Yeah.
There's a element of like specialness that you get when it is a one-off experience. Like it is a one-off conversation, or those conversations are rare. I think when I think back now, the more time you spend with somebody, the more the conversation almost seems routine, or it lacks that special. Hassan Minhaj had a really good point about this on MKBHD's podcast. He says that, and let me make my version of his point, which is, as soon as you remove the rarity or the limited availability of something, the less special it kind of becomes. Sure. So that's kind of the problem with AI music, for example. If an AI algorithm makes you music, or if it writes you an article, or if it draws you a painting, it's the fact that it can churn out millions and millions of these.
There's no scarcity.
And that booking company, I forget what they're called, but they're buying out loads of venues at the moment because the theory is they're going to use them to make hologram performances. But there is the element of like, it will be less special. The musician wasn't there. They didn't make remarks on that night that they weren't going to make in the future remarks. Bands are making a name for themselves doing this, like the funny in-betweens of songs. So I think, in fact, it might even be the people who are fleeting through our lives that give us these rare gems. Don't get me wrong. I think you can have DMCs. Yeah. DMCs with your life partner. In fact, they're probably more valuable, but they're not as rare.
Yeah.
And so
I think there's a healthy in between. Like, it's not like you need to meet someone new every single day of your life to go anywhere, because there's also a story to be had where you develop conversation with someone over time.
Right.
You develop your opinions and stuff. I mean, let's even look at ourselves compared to the way we probably discussed things a year ago to where we are now. How much more do we know? How much more have we probably taught each other, maybe, or opened our eyes to each other? You have one perspective, I have another, and we start to see and maybe come together on one or differ again. I think there's health between both. What's really nice as well is you could have had a conversation with someone in scarcity and rarity last week, as you did. And you've come back with fresh ideas, which introduces it to everyone else. Yeah. It's like a new ingredient to the mix. One with like a foreign ingredient. Yeah. But what you thought comes through, and maybe by you passing that on to me, I actually benefit more than you even did, because it's just the power of what it meant to me and so on. So
people you communicate with over a long time, I think, I'm just trying to imagine what you said. You're almost adding onto everything you've said in the past. You're saying it from the context of everything you and I have said. Yeah. There was that old joke of Jamie working here, and I came in and I said something mid-yawn, and you went, next Tuesday. And then I walked out. Like, you couldn't hear what the words that I said, but you just went, next Tuesday. And Jamie was like, what just happened? You didn't say any words. And you said next Tuesday, and I went, yeah, sound, and I left. So all of that thing, like, that came from context too. So everything we kind of say each other, anything you say to somebody who's in your life for a long period of time, is kind of just built on context of past conversations, which is very, very. It's more developed almost, the things that you kind of say to people on that regard. But that's interesting that, if I bring to you what somebody else said to me, you might be able to shed more light on it. You might be able to get more value out of it.
And otherwise, it just becomes an echo chamber, right? It just becomes our thoughts. Like, we could just be thinking about one perspective, and week in, week out, we talk to no one but each other. Yeah. Which is fine. but it does become very much echo chamber, echo chamber, just the same kind of thoughts coming through, the same kind of patterns. Bringing in new ideas is great. On the same token, too many varying ideas and not enough maturity in the ideas makes it all meaningless as well. Oh, I had a great idea, but no real original thought or digestion of that is probably a difficult one. So yeah, that's really nice.
I learned a fun fact about this too. Do you know why you're afraid of having we are actually coming quite a bit of a circle here. Do you know why you're afraid to be embarrassed in front of a group?
Why? There's
a real deep-rooted thing of like, back when we were in tribes and cavemen and cavewomen and like, you had to move in a tribe, being isolated from a group was pretty much your certain death.
Right.
Because you couldn't move with the tribe. You're suddenly alone, left to the wolves, or like, you just...
Yeah.
You wouldn't survive if you weren't with a tribe. And I think that's so deep rooted in us. Somebody did some study, somebody smarter than me made this statement.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that that's where it comes from. So if you get humiliated in public, it's not you that's afraid. It's your ancestor who would have probably died in that instance.
So it's almost a survival thing of why we feel like we need to be liked by everyone.
Yeah.
Because that is survival.
Yeah, exactly. Your food will be shared. People will share their food with you if they like you. People will do that. And now every time I get embarrassed, I'm just like, it's not actually that big a deal. I'm not hunting.
Strange how often that monkey brain comes back to us.
I know.
It's that thought, yeah.
We had a meeting just the other day when we were talking about how we haven't advanced enough to have desk jobs. My back's been hurting all day. I don't know what it is.
That's just age. That's just age. That's nothing to do with your ancestors.
Why doesn't your back hurt?
It does. Plenty. Yeah. But... I had a thought that I wanted to go down of echo chambers.
Okay.
Just mention them, right? And I had this discussion with my partner actually recently because we were discussing our political views and where we sit on the spectrum and understanding whether we understood where the other person already was or were they suppressing where they felt like their ideas felt. And turned out we were both pretty open and we believed in certain things. Now my discussion, and maybe I was just trying to sound like I was trying to be something, but I essentially said it's really, really important. It's so easy to be extreme on either side of the spectrum. So easy to be extreme in anything, to be honest. Veganism to carnivorism, is that a word? Yeah,
I think so.
Being like a complete carnivore, only meat, hate everything else, no seed oils, no nothing, right? Or veganism, extremes. People love the idea of having that because it gives them a personality trait, in my opinion. And I'll be open. That's what I think.
I'm laughing because I kind of agree.
And people do the same with their political views. They will go against everything, even things they don't really care about, just to prove that they are identified as a certain thing.
Yeah.
And fine, that's the world we live in. That's the life we live in. But I do think on political sides, it's really important to be empathetic to the other side. Like really, really important. So I don't know. Say, people. I'll get outed for this, but I'll say this now. Say it could be anything to do with LGBTQ rights. Okay. Mm-hmm. So say you're say you're a certain actually there's actually a few more letters now to that as well. I recently found out. But say you're a huge obviously advocate for the rights and everything there. Whilst you say, but being empathetic to the other side, they have no argument, they have no reason, they just hate. They're haters. They're haters and that. Yeah. Fine. But I think it's really important to understand why they even think in a certain way, why they don't believe in the rights for this category and this area, because this demographic, because otherwise you're simply just alienating the other side. Yeah. And I picked a really touchy subject there, but you can think about this for anything. I don't know. Environmental rights. Yeah. People that believe in sustainability versus those that don't.
Yeah, pick vegans. No one cares about vegans. Let's talk about vegans.
Okay, let's talk about vegans. So veganism, a vegan would really argue and struggle to see why anyone wouldn't want to be vegan. Well, you don't care about animals. You don't care about that. Yeah. Whereas it might not be that the other person doesn't care about animals, but they may put their health beyond animals. Yeah. And they may feel that veganism doesn't necessarily give them the nutrition or the health benefits they need to. Yeah. essentially, my discussion was, I think we need to balance our views more, and social media and everything is polarizing us too much. Where
How do you think social media is polarizing us?
Because it shows you what you like to see.
Yeah.
So you scroll on Twitter, it will show you, say you're a certain political view, it will show you more of that. It will take you more down the extreme side.
Yeah. It's a really weird thing, and hopefully other Northerners can testify this. It's a really weird thing growing up in the North, setting up your social media accounts in the North, linking with all your friends, following all of those, and then moving to London.
Right.
It's very interesting to grow up in a very Labour, left-wing city, and then live in London.
Yeah.
Because everything I see on social media, but everything I hear and see, very stark contrasts.
Sure.
And you're right, I don't think either party sort of understand each other. I don't think I did at one point. I used to be very against certain political things. I used to be very, have this sort of mentality. But you're right, because you never kind of treat the cause, not the cause, you only discuss the symptom. You never actually discuss the actual diagnosis, the actual thing. So it's very interesting. But I really hate this thing of, so we're too polarized. What do you mean by that? Do we need more nuance? Do we need to start discussing things in more depth?
I think we definitely need to be discussing things in more depth and more balanced discussions.
Yeah.
So say I have a certain opinion.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be afraid to discuss it with someone who doesn't have that opinion.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can have two sides. Let's take vegans as an example, because it's easy to pick on them.
Yeah.
But I've had conversations with vegans, and they, I would class myself as pretty middle ground, right?
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian, but I live with someone who eats meat.
Yeah.
I have also, in somewhat scenarios, had quite a plant-based diet. I understand all angles.
You hunt bears on weekends?
Yeah, literally every other weekend. And I like to think that I've got quite a middle ground. I see both sides, and I'm actually very caught in the middle because I see the complete ethical argument. Yeah. But I also see that the limited amount of nutrition you can get from a vegan diet. Yeah. And that causes me. And I'm going through this whole process. So what I'm essentially saying is we're very polarized, but we're not open to good discussion.
Yeah. Do you know what I think is also a problem? We're too polarized, sure. But do you know what really, really isn't sexy? What really isn't attractive and what really isn't cool? The middle ground.
Yeah.
It's the thing you get mocked for. But you're right, it's almost like a personality trait at this point, because I find it genuine. We've had this discussion before. I find it genuinely outrageous that we vote a person into power, not a party, not their manifesto, not all of the policies they're in. No, it's I'm voting this way because I can't stand that guy, or I'm voting this way because she said this thing, or it's crazy to me.
Yeah, and what it's almost like, say you've got someone from the left, it's almost like they would respect someone from the right rather than someone in the middle. They respect that you have a polar opposite argument, or you've taken a more extreme view, rather than I'm somewhere in the middle and I will decide based on the views that I believe in. Yeah. And that's a difficult one because it limits people. It puts people in puts people on a side where they may not believe in someone's political agenda, but they feel they must vote for that because the opposite is evil and insane. And I think that's our real trouble here at the moment. So so essentially I think that's where we're going. And how do we stop this? I think we actually just need to encourage more open debate. People's views are becoming too tunnel vision. And I have this argument that if we're not careful now, the world's only going to get more polarized. And I think, honestly, huge credit to you, because whenever we have political discussion, you're very balanced in your opinion. You're very, very good at...
Thank you. I thought I wasn't in certain political things. No. I've said some things.
Yeah, of course. And you can say things.
Yeah.
But the idea is you're open to discussion about both sides.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you believe in, you believe in. That's not the point here. You believe in what you believe in. You dislike what you dislike. But the fact you're open to even conversation from all angles and all opinions is a really healthy place to be. Yeah. And maybe I'm disillusioned, but I just feel there's a limited amount of people that are like that or willing to have good, healthy conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you even show any sign of conversation, you're weak. That's what people think.
Yeah. Can we do this now? Can we try this?
Let's
I have
go.
a topic.
Okay, go.
Do you want, we're having a debate, genuine. And it's actually, Ollie asked me something recently. He said, you've been doing the podcast with Ash for a year. Give me some insights of what it's like to have a podcast with you. And I said, the one annoying thing is that we don't disagree enough, because disagreeing comes with makes great content.
Yeah.
But we're typically pretty aligned. It has to be. We're trying to run a business.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it would be easier to disagree with you more, because we would make some good content. But the one fundamental difference between us, you've already highlighted this, is you're a vegetarian, I'm a meat eater. Let's try and not talk too much about food because I'm fasting.
Yeah.
But that's a difference of opinion that we have. We're very kind of accommodating to each other when it comes to that. We go out for food all the time and we try and figure it out so it works. But I'm curious. Let's be the example. Sorry. Let's have the example conversation of open conversation. You're on one side, I'm on the other. You don't eat meat and I do.
Yeah.
Why are you a vegetarian, Ash?
Yeah. You picked a topic that I believe in, but I don't want to pretend I've got views I don't have.
Okay.
So
again, that's a great way to start that.
And no, but that people would think of that as weakness.
I know.
Like, you're weak. You don't really have an opinion on something. It's like, no, I do.
Yeah.
It's just I've thought about it so much that
You've questioned it.
I've questioned it, exactly. So, okay, why am I a vegetarian, and why do I remain vegetarian to this day? I've been vegetarian since I was about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
A decision that I made on my own. Obviously, seeing external people be vegetarians and seeing why, and understanding those that don't. Most of my family eat meat. It started from a completely ethical point of view.
Okay.
I just found the idea of eating another another animal. Ash,
let me explain.
Is that not what you do?
Let me explain to you what being a carnivore means, okay? Humans, no.
Oh, is that a no?
In fact, as of 2019, let's put bats in that list too. Let's avoid humans and bats for a while.
All right. For a while.
And, try some chicken to start off
with. All right, so chicken. Like, the idea of eating another animal, another being, that we 1 minute pretend we love by going to a safari and going to a farm and being all happy and cuckoo with them, and then the other minute eating them, I couldn't get my head around it. Why do we allow certain animals to survive and be our pets? Oh, dogs, they're so cute, but no, you animal, I don't care about. Who decides what's allowed and what's not? That was my real troubling part. And I'm not saying eat dogs. I'm just saying, if you're not going to eat one thing,
it's the inconsistency.
Yeah.
But culturally, that varies country to country.
It does, but I just can't get my head around it. At the end of the day, a life is a life, a being is a being. Why ethically? That whole horse meat scandal really confused me. Okay, it sounds crazy to eat a horse. Yeah. But why did that make headlines?
Why is it crazy to eat horse?
Yeah, when people are eating cows out left, right, and center, and saying, this steak is real good. What makes that okay is something from a young age I could never understand. And to be honest, still to this day, I put to the side, but I can't understand that. Why?
Yeah. Why? It's delicious.
Okay.
No, I've always had this, and I'm genuinely answering your question of why we can eat certain animals and not others. I think that we only really mess with animals that we can dominate. Okay? Where we're the dominant species as human beings. So, we don't eat lions because they could mess us up. I don't know if you've seen a lion walk, but the muscles bulging. We don't mess with lions. Tiger, whatever, there was a Tiger King thing or whatever. We don't mess with those animals. But there are certain animals that we are the dominant species. And in my opinion, just for generations on generations, we have just been the dominant species wins. Okay. And here's the thing. I don't think enough people appreciate that we're not always going to be the dominant species, or we're not the dominant species in every scenario. In actual fact, something that genuinely scares me right now is we don't have, this is going to sound weird, but we don't have the smartest people controlling technology.
Yeah.
right? I don't know if you saw the guy asking TikTok, and it's like, can TikTok have an affair with my wife? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, he just says dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And they're regulating that. We're not always going to be the most dominant species. However, when it comes to human beings wanting to sustain themselves, they can overpower a chicken.
Okay.
And they can kill it. And
okay, so is this when it comes to bare hands?
how do you mean? Sorry.
So could a human dominate a zebra with its bare hands? Or is it like with a spear we would kill it and be able to eat it?
I don't know. I don't think we're questioning the ethics. I think we're questioning when does the ethics come in. For you, it's immediately.
No. So what I'm trying to get at is I understand the dominant side, so that's why we decide which animals we would and which ones we wouldn't eat, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't mean we have to dominate them all.
No, but what determines dominating them?
Yeah.
Like, is that with tools, with a spear, or is that with your bare hands?
It's a good thing. Well, I would say you have to include tools, right? Because we have the proclivity, we have the mind, the brain, and the creativity to build tools.
So really, if it was down to tools, there's no species in the world we can't dominate.
I don't know.
Like a lion with a gun, you can dominate.
Yeah, but what about a shark?
With a gun, you could dominate with
You reckon?
with certain tools.
Like an underwater spear?
Okay, you tell me right now, as humans, if we wanted to stop
Sharks.
a shark, we could stop one.
Probably.
So it's okay to eat.
I guess. People eat shark meat, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, we could drop a nuclear bomb and we could dominate anything. The fact is, as humans, we are dominant.
Yeah.
We can dominate anything.
We can't. We can.
So, I mean, you could, with a gun, you could kill a horse.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can dominate a horse.
Yeah.
So therefore, a horse should be okay to kill. Like a dog.
Yeah.
Like a cat. What I'm essentially getting at is there is no dominant and not dominant anymore. Yeah. The fact is we can dominate if we want to.
Yeah.
But it's just with what?
And why does that stop you eating meat? Sorry, I've realized I've lost that argument. I don't know what I'm
saying.
No,
my argument here is it's either all or nothing.
Okay.
It's either you say anything's okay to eat.
So if anything was okay to eat, if as a society we ate dogs and we ate cats and we ate any other species that isn't human beings, you'd say you would be a carnivore?
I wouldn't say I would be one, but I understand the other argument a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Whereas for me, obviously the ethical side is one thing, that's the big hurdle. But after that, it's the fact, why do we eat some and not eat others?
Okay.
And okay, there are some religious views and so on, but on the same token, no matter, put a religion aside, religions still choose to eat certain meat over others, even though they're okay to eat other.
Yeah.
They're okay to eat a dog.
Yeah.
Like a Hindu could eat a dog, but they don't because they don't want to.
Yeah.
That's what I can't understand. And that's where I hit a wall with that idea. I'm not saying I would eat it if everyone ate everything. Yeah. I don't understand why we get to pick and choose just because of which one's cuter.
And why does that stop you from eating meat? I'm confused.
No, so I have walls to what I'm eating.
Okay.
Of why I'm vegetarian. The first one is purely ethical, that I just can't understand the idea of eating anything living. When it comes to
we didn't pick that
species.
Part enough.
Yeah. So that's my first thing. That's like I just can't understand like whether I'd eat a chicken or a dog or a cat or a shark. Just can't understand. I can't get over that feeling yet. I'm continuously trying to like understand my mind and where I am.
Yeah. So 3D printed food. How would you feel about that?
That's where I'm in a blurry place at the moment. I'll be honest, and that's where I'm weak. I guess. Yeah. My opinion should be either that or not. If I'm honest, probably I would eat it.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I feel like on the ethical side, that isn't real, or it's not human flesh that's being killed to eat. It's just simply a replication.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just can't understand the idea of killing something to eat it.
But that's something that you're aware of, right?
Yeah.
You have an iPhone, I have an iPhone. God knows what the conditions were for building that. I'm trying to find out where the line stops here. Okay. There's recently the whole cobalt mining. It's been going on for years, but for some reason society cares about it now.
Yeah.
That goes into phones, that goes into cars, things that are consumed by you.
Yeah.
Why do you draw a line at the things you consume versus the things that you use?
This is a very good point. So are you telling me when I use an iPhone, it's directly killing an animal?
No.
Or it's got a displacement effect?
It's it's not you that made that impact. But similarly, when you buy chicken in Asda, it's not you that went out to hunt. Somebody else did it. Somebody else took that chicken's life and put it in a bag. Same thing with your phone. In order to capture the resources for it, or a car, the resources needed, somebody was hurt in that process. And yes, if you would have bought that phone versus if you would have bought another phone, that person would have still been hurt, but that phone would have been used by somebody else.
It's a really good point. I think when you buy some chicken in the supermarket, you can directly see that something has been killed.
Yeah, okay.
To satisfy that. Whereas cobalt mining, there is a chance that something has been hurt indirectly, but you're unaware. Yeah. It's like me walking through a park. Maybe I've blocked a rabbit's hole and the rabbit's died. Yeah. I didn't directly impact that. When you buy a chicken in a supermarket, you're creating demand for a chicken to be killed. Oh,
you lost me there.
So you're saying...
No. Because if you buy an iPhone, you're creating demand for an iPhone.
You are, but at the end of the day, you're not creating demand to directly kill a chicken.
So this is the old trolley question.
Right, okay.
You're not the one... You know the trolley? The old philosophy chat. Excuse me. If there's a trolley heading towards like a split pathway, and it's going to hit 5 people. In front of you, there's a lever, and you can pull the lever, and instead it redirects to another track, and it only kills 1 person. Yeah. Right. So a lot of people. Hold on, let me get my thoughts right. A lot of people would pull that lever. I'm trying to get this right. Statistically, a lot of people will pull that lever.
And kill the 1 person.
Yeah.
Which makes them a murderer.
Well, versus if there is a person there next to the tracks and the trolley's coming, and you can push 1 person in front of the tracks to save the other people, very few people would actually push that person because they're directly involved in physically touching that person to push them. Whereas the other one, they're doing something that has a knock-on effect. Sure. They don't feel like it's directly them.
But it wasn't them, it was the train that killed the person, whereas when you push the person, you're killing the person.
Yeah, so bringing this back, pushing the person is the chicken. Yeah. It is you are creating demand for the chicken, and the only way to get that chicken is by causing harm to a chicken. Yeah. Whereas you're buying the iPhone, you're not demanding that they use these unethical means to get the battery components. Sure. That's up to them. Yeah. It's up to you to create the demand for the phone. You bought the phone, you want the phone. Yeah. But they could be paying them a reasonable wage. They could be creating better working conditions for them.
But that's on Apple.
Yeah, that's not your choice.
And look, there's definitely an argument there to be said, but at the end of the day, you're choosing a company that doesn't promote that or doesn't look into that. But you can only control what you can control. Yeah. And look, you can go down that rabbit hole. Of course, you made me think about that. Now, something I hadn't thought about, but at the end of the day, when you buy a chicken in a supermarket, you are directly causing demand for something that is going to kill that chicken. Yeah. And that's where I see it from that angle. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm trying to think of because my next rational argument behind that was I'm not a vegetarian. I quite happily eat meat. In recent times, I've reduced my meat consumption massively.
How come?
Just like you don't. The thing I dislike quite a lot is just waste. And the thing is, the shelf life of meat is very small. So I typically cook a lot more sort of veggie dishes throughout the week. And then I treat myself to meat dishes. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you buy chicken, you have to consume it within a set amount of time. Veg tends to just last longer. There was another argument. It was funnily enough, it was a stand-up comedian, Daniel Sloss, making fun of vegans and vegetarians. That kind of made me think about it. Okay. It's really... Because he says he hates vegans' arguments of like, you wouldn't eat it if you had to kill it yourself. Yeah. Because that's a crap argument. If you actually looked into veganism, you realize how much resources you save by only consuming plant. Like, I think it's 100 liters to 1 liter of milk. 100 liters of water has to be spent on a cow before it produces 1 liter of milk. Yeah. But he goes, nobody ever uses that argument. But that got me thinking as well. That's what I started to think of, like, it's actually not the most optimal use of our resources. My ops mind coming in. It's not the most optimal use of our resources to be using that much to feed this thing so that we can kill it and eat it. The actual ethics doesn't necessarily come into it all that much for me. And I think that line has just been blurred over time. I'm 27 now. I've eaten meat most of my life. I went vegan for 2 months, like separate times, and it was a very good experience for me. But ethically, it's never been a thing. The people I looked up to, it was never an ethical issue.
So and I completely understand that. I mean, whilst I'm sitting here telling you my opinion, just because it makes good debate, and it's actually something I haven't discussed in a while. Vegans look at me in disgust.
Why?
Because I eat eggs.
Right.
Because I wear leather. Yeah. Because I...
you wear leather? I've never seen you in leather.
Well, I'm not wearing leather pants, but a leather belt, leather shoes,
fair enough,
a leather wallet. Vegans look at me because I eat honey.
Honey is debatable. Honey doesn't come from the animal produced it.
Yeah.
Honey is up for grabs. When I went for those
you're
vegans,
damaging the habitat.
Fuck them. No, I'm
yeah.
kidding.
Also, let's go back to the trolley thing. I didn't actually kill it directly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know that there is no end to it. So whilst I can come up with this moral high ground, to them, I'm just as bad as anyone else. Bad, evil, whatever I am. Which is why, again, we come back to that extreme argument where I'm like, why one or the other?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is they look at you like you're evil, but it's nothing to do with evil, right? It's when they look at you, they can see two things. If you and I stood before a vegan today, they could look at you and say, you consume so many fewer resources than I do. Yeah. Because you eat certain things, and like I said, the amount of resource it takes to get a cow to a point where you can turn it into a steak or whatever.
Sure.
And the amount that is wasted after that, you use way less resources than me. But to the vegan, you're still evil somehow. Yeah. Right. You still need to be put on the spectrum, and nothing in the middle is valid.
Even though they've been,
you have to go to one or the other.
Even though they've been vegan for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm the evil person.
But I mean, if people looked at it statistically, again, maybe this is just because I love to look at things. Like, I love to see an analysis of things. I don't like quotes and statements. Something I've been saying a lot around the office is like, that would look great in a poem, or like that would sound great in a quote book, but it doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
But if people had, we've kind of exchanged some thoughts here, but if we looked at things statistically, the impact you have on the environment versus the impact I have on the environment, or, like a ratio, if you compare the pleasure I've gotten from eating meat versus the peace of mind that you've somewhat find a way to measure it. Yeah. The peace of mind that you've been able to have because of your ethical soundness of you not contributing to any animal harm. Like comparing those things. If we had conversations like that, undebatable conversations, then I think it would be a lot healthier. But in actual fact, as soon as I start to see, he's making a good point here. All right, well, I should just throw this in his face. Yeah. I should put him in that category. Because if I don't have anything to attack you with, I need to put you in a group that's worth attacking. Yeah. Right? If somebody, let's say, and I'm only using this example because I grew up in the North, but let's say that I come across somebody who typically is quite conservative, very right-wing, or not even, right-ish wing.
Right-leaning.
Yeah. And they make some points that I disagree with, but they've made points that are kind of in the middle. The only way I can win that argument is if I throw them in the conservative camp and start trashing conservatives. That's the only way I can win that argument. But that's not the right way to do it.
And they've got nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Like they might think a certain way because of a certain thing. That's nothing to do with that. And I'm like, well, I need to put you in that group.
Otherwise,
so I can never go at you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a funny world we live in. But
it is. Somehow it works.
Yeah. Well.
Not well. Yeah. But somehow it does.
Somehow that's the way we're going. But I do worry.
What do you worry about?
I worry about how polarized we're getting.
Yeah.
And I know this has always been a thought, but I don't think the world has ever been this polarized. And the internet, AI, social media, everything has to do with this.
Yeah.
And if we don't find a way to healthily debate, then no one will ever listen to the other side's opinions. And we won't just be polarized, we'll be completely segmented and separated. two worlds.
That's kind of scary. Do you really think that's the case, or are you perceiving that from what you consume? Tell me about this. Tell me about the people in your life.
I feel I do believe in that.
Okay.
Because I feel those that are in the middle, and there's plenty of people in middle ground, they're being lost.
Yeah.
They're being crowded out, being suppressed because they don't have a strong opinion. Mm-hmm. And that's my worry. It's not that everyone believes in one thing or another, but the people in the middle are no longer heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're worried, and they're worried about what they say on the mic.
Yeah.
They're worried. They think twice. As soon as it gets on a touchy subject, they think twice about what they're saying.
Yeah.
And that's only leading to more suppression. Whereas those on the opposite ends of the spectrum, they don't care what they say on the mic. Yeah. They will say whatever they want. They'll keep rolling.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes them famous. That's what makes them there. And that causes real issues. Because if you say one thing out of line, you're either far left or far right.
Yeah.
You're either one thing or the other. Yeah.
You and I would argue, just had a very healthy conversation about your dietary preferences versus my dietary preferences. What is a good way to have that conversation in a healthy way? What are some things you can do? I'll tell you one thing, and maybe you have another example. If I feel like somebody is getting too like polarized, or they're blinded by their feeling on that matter, and they're not making rational sense, I've told them, I'm like, look, that person's still making very logical cases, and you're not. And I want to hear your side of things, but you're just throwing out hate right now.
Yeah.
How do you guide a conversation like that? That was me as an observer, by the way. I wasn't in that conversation. But if I'm in a conversation,
if you're in a conversation, I think it's really important to understand, is that person even interested in what you have to say or your opinion?
That's a really good point.
And it's like,
that's a really good point.
It's like, are they listening to what I'm saying? Are they interested, or are they shutting down everything I'm saying to just say what they want to say?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big issue that we have in conversation overall. You know, I want to be heard, not listen. I don't want to listen.
Right. Because I'm not changing your mind on anything.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to finish so I can tell you my perspective.
Yeah.
I only care about sharing my perspective, not changing yours.
Yeah,
Damn, dude.
And that's a big issue we have. So making sure that the other person is ready and open to listening to that.
Yeah. That's a really good point, yeah. And being that person. Being the person who says, I'm not going to make up my mind about what you're saying until I've heard it all.
Yeah. I also think whilst it's important to call someone out if they say something completely out of line, it's important to give them the opportunity to speak.
Always.
So, yes, they may be launching hate, but if it's a one-on-one conversation and it's not hate directed at you, let them hear what they've got to say.
Yeah.
Just hear it. Because what you may initially deem as hate might still be hate, but it might be seen in a different example, and you need to understand the full context of it. Yeah. Or even if we go softer than hate and we go to just something you don't necessarily agree in, hear them out.
Yeah.
Hear their thoughts, because it's not about you necessarily changing your mind, but it's just empathizing a little bit more. And I think that's what we really struggle with. We feel that we must shoot someone down sooner. And I guess that's similar to my first point, but yeah. How about you? What do you think?
What do I think about? Sorry.
What do you think will lead to healthier conversation?
I really agree with what you're saying. And I think ultimately, I think we're both talking about empathy here. Like the thing that you really need to understand is, where did that come from, right? You hear somebody say something hateful. Where did that come from? Like, did you have a bad experience?
Yeah.
Did your dad have a bad experience and warn you not to interact with this group of people?
Yeah.
What is that behind? And start to question some people who you might really admire. Because, okay, so we're going down I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, but I want to see where this goes. like what you just said in a book when I was a kid, my sister got me a Darren Brown book, and he said that he's a firm believer that you don't believe in things until you've questioned them, and you come out of the side still believing in them.
Sure.
So you kind of have to be open to questioning everything, including the opinions of some people who you really look up to.
Including the opinions of people, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
because, we're talking about sort of alleviating this hate and trying to remove it. Ultimately, if the whole thing of hate is a learned thing, is to be believed, then actually, and if you look at the history and the trajectory, we're not where we need to be. But we're a damn sight less racist than we were 50 years ago. We're, way less misogynistic than we were 50 years ago. And we're heading in the right direction. And that's probably because people are like, okay, well, I understand the society I'm in right now. I understand where we need to go, and I have this mindset. The only people that aren't doing that are people who are learning this behavior from others.
Yeah.
Probably people they admire. It's really hard to, if you're a boy and you admire your father, it's really hard to go, Dad, you said this and I don't agree with that. It's really hard. Same thing with, I've just used a son and a dad, but it doesn't matter what gender you are, what parent this is, or what influential person in your life this is. It's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And
I think now more than ever, it's not just family, it's not just friends, it's not just uncles, aunties, whoever.
Yeah.
We have heroes that we follow on social media that we do. And that's where we have to be really careful. Yeah. You could have a kid who sees Andrew Tate as his number one guy. Fine. But we have to be careful that person should still be able to question some of the comments he may make. Yeah. Is that actually in line with what I believe in? Or am I just agreeing with it because I agreed with a post he posted last week?
That's the thing. Sorry, you've just raised a very good point where we're looking at all of these people. I've believed this for quite a while now. Of like, if you see a little boy doing something like around Andrew Tate, like he has the same beliefs in them, we're just shouting at that boy. We're saying you're wrong. We locked up your idol. He's wrong. You're wrong. Nobody's asking like, why did you look to him for guidance? What was so appealing about what he was saying? And then questioning that, like, well, he was, the kid might say, well, he was just saying things that like, I was listening to everybody else's advice and it wasn't working, so I listened to his. And you can go, okay, well, have you tried this? Because, yada, yada. Have you tried that? But instead, we're just, villainizing. Like, no, you listen to him, you're an idiot. Look at him, yada, yada. Like,
it's too easy to become a villain.
Yeah.
And it's too easy to become a hero.
Yeah.
And there's no in between. Like, you can hate on Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
But maybe he's got the odd video where he actually speaks some sense.
Yeah.
Out of his 100
immediately
videos.
in that category, you must hate him.
Yeah.
You
must like anything he says is there.
Yeah.
So you won't even listen to one video or that. And on the same token, you may agree with one of his videos and think now you have to agree with everything he says, and everything else he says is now your view, even though that's not necessarily the case. So actually, I don't agree with what he said about women. I don't agree with what he said about this group of people. Just because you relate and resonate to one thing he said, that he drinks water and you should drink water, doesn't mean you have to agree with everything else he says. These are the kinds of things.
And this happened. I had this really similar conversation. I won't name who it is because I don't, in case they want to keep this opinion private or whatever. But they were talking to me about how they like somebody called, I think they're called Kevin Samuels. Passed away unfortunately not too long ago. But this is a person who he's known for speaking to women live on the air. And do you know who this is?
No.
He speaks to women live on the air. He asks them what their expectation is of their partner. And then he just asks some brutal questions about them. So they're like, what do you want from your partner? Do you want them to be wealthy, in good shape, yada, yada? So he goes, what about you?
What are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, well, yeah, he just goes, how what do you weigh? What's your height? What's your income? Yada, yada. And he's getting berated for this. And to be honest, the way he goes about it is kind of blunt. It's kind of sometimes rude.
Yeah.
I would argue most of the time he matches the energy of the people calling in.
Sure.
But I heard somebody say they really admire him. And I was like, why? And they said, I don't care about any of the videos where he's talking to the women and he's, using these words or being misogynistic or whatever you might want to label it as. I really admire his earlier videos where he says, he talks about men and he goes, men, you're not being good enough. You need to work harder. You need to you need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to look after your body. You need to look after your mental health. He's like, I really admired what he was saying about that. My mind immediately went when he said he admires this person. I was like, so you admire a person who has all of these opinions?
Yeah.
I was guilty of it too. I was like, you admire the person who talks to people like this? You do that? And I was like, no. Oh, actually, you just like those traits. You like that he was empowering people and making them feel like they're strong and that they can achieve things and accomplish things if they put their mind to it. And I just thought that, I just put them in that camp immediately, and I was schooled pretty hard.
I think that's a lesson learned there.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, we still got so much lessons to learn. We don't know anything.
That's what we're here for. That was a really nice conversation.
I really enjoyed that. That was very because the Feel Good series has been a bit more scripted, but that one wasn't. This was just
fresh,
shooting the beep.
Definitely.
With a friend.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed episode 5, don't forget to like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Make sure you comment and just share and tell us what you want to hear more of. And if you're a guest or a potential guest, please do get in touch with us. You can get in touch with Sam or me about potentially shooting a pod in the future.
No, we've got an intern. Tell Ram.
Yeah. I was going to drop that. I was going to our assistant.
Our assistant. Yeah, no, we'll talk to people. We like people.
We like people. Yeah, drop us a DM. But cheers.
Thanks, gang.
Thank you. Hey there. If you've made it this far through the episode, thanks so much for supporting us. Thanks for listening. Do tell us what you liked about it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. It really would mean the world to us. Cheers.
Ash said it beautifully in a message earlier. Go listen to that or just like and subscribe. Love you for watching. Thanks.